Chapter 7 is all about trig. So we're actually, the first two really connect and they're very short, so I'm going to do both A and B together. So first of all, trig is the study of the relationships between the side lengths and the angles of triangles. So the theory of knowledge just talks about how the sun, the moon, the stars, and planets, that's called astronomy. And so how much of what we believe comes from what we observe? Is it necessary to understand it, to believe it? All right, so think about how this ties in with, they look at, if you think about ancient astrologers, they used to do this. They used to calculate all these angles before computer technology. So this is kind of interesting. Okay, so the big thing we're going to be talking about here, in a right triangle, the side across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Here's the really most important thing that people fail to do. No matter where your angle is at, mark that angle, because across from the angle is always the opposite side. The hypotenuse is always next to the or across from the right angle, and the one that's left is the adjacent. You should never get the opposite and adjacent confused, because the side across from the angle is the opposite and the only other one left is the adjacent. And here's, whenever we talk about trig, the angles are almost always in terms of Greek letters. Theta is this one, and phi, or phi. I never know which one to say. So this just gives us several triangles, 4 triangles. Why are the triangles similar? Not congruent. Why are they similar? They're all right triangles. And they have one other angle that's congruent. So what do I know about the third angle? Oops. If the angles are all congruent in a triangle, their side lengths are similar. There's a ratio between them that's the same. Now, how do you remember your trig ratios? Sine, cosine, tangent. Typically, we teach you SO, CA, TOA, because we use sine, cosine, tangent, opposite hypotenuse, adjacent hypotenuse, opposite adjacent. So notice how sine O over H, so cosine A over H, ca, tangent O over A, TOA. Something else you're going to have to remember how to use is the Pythagorean theorem. What is the Pythagorean theorem? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay. All right. So when we find sine of theta, we're looking for the ratio of the side lengths. This is just a ratio of the side lengths. What's very important, theta is an angle. You need to have theta after every trig function or this is not correct. Now, if this is my angle, always go across from the angle, that's your opposite. Find your right angle, go across from the right angle, that's your hypotenuse. The only one left is the adjacent. OAH. Now, because sine of theta is O over H, opposite over hypotenuse, my opposite side is 15 over my hypotenuse side, which is 17, and always make sure it's reduced. This is my final answer. Sine of this particular angle, I don't know what the angle is and it doesn't matter, but if I were to take sine of this angle, it would have the same value as 15 divided by 17. Cosine of theta. Cosine is ka A over H. A is 8 over H, 17. Cosine of this particular angle will have a value of 8 divided by 17. Finally, tangent of theta. Tangent is TOA, opposite over adjacent. Opposite 15 over adjacent 8. So tangent of this angle will have a value of 15 divided by 8. That's all you're finding. And that's section A. Section B, you're going to want your calculators to 3 sig figs. Okay, here's my angle. Always mark your angle, because across from the angle is the opposite, across from the right angle is the hypotenuse, and this is my adjacent. We have 3 pieces involved: the angle, the adjacent, this is my variable, and my hypotenuse. So, TOA. Which one uses A and H? Cosine. So I'm going to take cosine of the angle that I'm given. That will equal A, which is my x, my variable in this case, over H, my hypotenuse, 7. Create an equation, get the variable by itself. Since x is being divided by 7, I'm going to multiply both sides by 7 to isolate the variable. Then I'm going to take 7 times cosine 32 in the calculator, and you should get 5.94. Now, if you do not get this answer, check the mode on your calculator, one of those top buttons next to the blue second sign. Push mode. Because this is 32 degrees, you have to make sure your calculator knows you're entering a degree value. So degrees needs to be highlighted in order to get this answer. All right, letter B. Here's my angle. This is my opposite. This is my hypotenuse. This is my adjacent. I have my O and my A. This ratio will be tangent. Tangent of the angle equals opposite over adjacent. Now I need to get the x out of the denominator to get it up. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x. So that gets it out of the denominator and into the numerator. Now to get x by itself, I divide both sides by tangent 64. So x will equal 5 divided by tangent of 64. So just take that in your calculator and you should get 2 4/44. And that's finding that missing length in your triangle. See, this is what I was saying earlier. Make sure that it's in degree mode. And that's it.